So we have to drive the consumerism out of church. I'm pointing out to you here that it's not a new problem. And then this. A consumer church is, you say, well, where does it come from? Why is it like this? Jot this down. Consumer church is born of convenience. That's where it comes from. I'm not sure that it necessarily starts off for the worst reasons. Again, look at the Passover of the Jews was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple, he found those who were selling auctions, sheep and pigeons, and the money changers sitting there. So if you could have gone up to one of those, just get like in the pigeon line. Just stand by and the next person leaves. And if you could have walked up to one of the guys selling these animals and said, why are you doing this? What do you think they would have said? I could tell you what they would have said. They would have said, look, people have traveled hundreds of miles, maybe thousands of miles. We're trying to make it easier for them. They can't be dragging all their sacrificial animals with them. We're making it convenient for them. Furthermore, they have to be animals without blemish. And we have verified, nationally recognized, irrefutably stamped sacrificial animals, 1 year old, without blemish. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to wonder about it. We're giving them high quality, convenient worship. So, all right, you walk over to the money changers. And why are you doing this? Well, don't you know they have to give a half-shekel temple tax? So we're helping them. They can't bring it in Roman drachma. They can't bring it in Greek denarii. It has to be in the currency of the temple, pure silver. We're helping them. You can't just get pure silver on any corner. We're helping people. We're conveniencing people. Jot this down. So much that begins as effort to help people degenerates into self-interest and self-serving. And it may be that those who gathered to provide those animals and to change that money, it may be that at the beginning they were there to help the people. But over time, who were they helping? They just were helping themselves. Instead of sacrificial animals at a fair price outside the place of worship, you can see how it happened. Have you ever driven up to a Bulls game and seen those crazy people trying to get you to park? And the closer you get, the more they're screaming and yelling, and they fight right up to the edge of the stadium to try to get you to park where they are. And you can see how it would have happened here. And they started out in the streets. They had no business being in the temple selling these filthy animals with the, there's no reason for that. But business as it is, and we'll just get closer and we'll make it easier for them. And the closer you are, the more you can charge because you're providing a greater convenience. It became animals that were highly priced and badly located. Another thing that scholars tell us is that over time they began rejecting any animal that a person would bring because they wanted the sale. So you show up with your pigeon or they're like that, no, flawed, not good, not good. And basically no one brought animals anymore because if you brought your own, they're like, not here, only those with the stamp, only those verified. And so they changed the rules to guarantee they got the sale, so nobody was bringing animals with them anymore. You had to buy from the temple in order to be obedient to God. And in terms of the money exchange, scholars tell us they were charging 12.5% for every single exchange of currency. Can you imagine that? 12.5% just to get it translated into the right currency. Well, I found myself I don't know what y'all were doing this week, but while you were doing whatever you were doing, I was studying this passage and preparing to feed us with it. So I started thinking to myself, well, what are just some ways? I thought of a lot, but just to give you a couple of ways. What are some ways that we started off trying to convenience people, but in the end, maybe it isn't helping them that much? First thing that came into my mind, honestly, first thing I thought of was those pew Bibles. Those Bibles that are in the chairs on all of our campuses that are listening right now. And we put those Bibles out. Why? Well, because we know there are visitors who come, and we don't want anyone to be without a Bible. But what ends up happening You know, you teach people that it's important for them to have their own Bible and to write in their own Bible, because I want you to master the content of Scripture. I want you to see where you've written and taken notes and learned, so the Bible becomes more and more familiar to you, all right? But a lot of people don't do that. I'll just leave my Bible at home. They got Bibles at the church for me. It's not a thing. Now, if you're here and you're visiting, you got one of those Bibles in your lap right now, I think that's great. But if you've been coming here for years and you keep picking up the pew Bible because it's just not a hassle, I think that inconveniencing some people, we have injured others. You know, I very infrequently now do I ever put a verse up on the screen. Do you know why? Because I want people to turn in their Bible to it. Guess what happens if I put it up on the screen? People are like, that's so convenient. I don't have to turn. I love it. See, just make it easier. Sometimes in making it easier, you're not making it better. Do you understand? And so much of the Western world church in the last 50 years has focused on making church easier for people, but is it really making church better for people? And you come into this parking lot on all of our campuses and you have someone directing you where to park, and a friendly person at the door, and someone helping you find your seat, and a nice little program with all the information you could possibly want. And people, for sure don't appreciate it, and a lot of times they complain about it. I hear all kinds of things of frustrated with a parking attendant and angry with an usher. I want to sit where I want to sit. Don't tell me where to sit. Consumers.